Hey y'all, today we are going to chat about homeschooling with a baby or toddler around. First of all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaela. I am a second generation homeschool mom of four, almost four. Baby girl number 4 is due in just a few weeks. I'm currently homeschooling my 4th grader and my 1st grader, and my 19-month-old is always right in the middle of whatever we are doing. I love sharing what we're up to in our own homeschool journey and also just mama life chats and updates. So if any of that interests you, I hope you'll consider subscribing and sticking around. So as I mentioned, I do have a 19-month-old. She's very active. She is at that age where she can reach almost everything and she is into almost everything. And I get asked on a regular basis, how on earth are you homeschooling your older kids and doing these focused lesson sessions with them when you have a baby or a toddler who needs constant attention, constant supervision? So I just want to start off by saying this video is not going to magically solve the problem. Recognize that in this season of life, things are not going to be perfect and they're definitely not going to be easy. But I want to encourage you that this season of life, this time period is fleeting. It is short. Even though it feels really long while you're in it, it's going to go by fast. Your baby is going to grow into a toddler. Your toddler is going to grow into a preschooler. Before you know it, instead of causing a lot of interruptions and chaos, they're going to be joining right in with your homeschool lessons. So be patient, give yourself grace, and be persistent. Keep pushing through. You will get there, mama. And because this season is so fleeting, don't feel guilty if you really do need to take a break. I would suggest to try to save those breaks for when you need them the most and try to plan them in advance for times when you can predict that you're going to need them the most. Right after I have a new baby, I definitely need time to rest and recover. We need time as a family to bond with the baby, to get used to having a new person in our family. So I'm already planning on having an entire month where we are either doing very little homeschooling or none at all when baby girl number 4 arrives in just a few weeks. That newborn period is so sacred and special to me. It's one of my favorite time periods with each of my kids, and it goes by so fast. So I am going to cherish those moments and make that my priority over homeschool for at least a month. I've spoken to other moms who are like, no way, I don't want to take time off with a brand new baby because that's the easiest time for me to actually be productive in our homeschool because my newborn sleeps all day. And so why would I waste that precious time when I could be really getting momentum in our homeschool? Only you will know what time period during that span of those baby and toddler years is really the most challenging for you. Try to think about it in advance, but also know that those periods might come up unexpectedly. There might be a month where, everyone in the family is sick and you just keep passing a virus back and forth, or the baby's teething or going through a sleep regression. So give yourself grace in those moments. It is okay to take a break. It's okay to take time off, to cut back on your homeschool load to where maybe you're only getting to the essentials, your reading, your math, whatever your essentials are. Maybe that's all you have the time and energy for a week or a month. That's okay. It is okay to take the time that you need during this short season of life. The first step or category is prepare. Prepare. There's a reason this is number 1. This is going to look different for everyone. So your preparation should be unique to you, your family, your homeschool. But the general idea is that we want to be as prepared as possible so that we can maximize our time. When you have a baby or a toddler, your time just automatically shrinks. You have to expect that there will be interruptions, and you also have to be realistic about what parts of your day you can use for particular activities that just make the most logical sense. So look at your homeschool schedule, look at your curricula, look at what you're hoping to accomplish in any given day or any given week, and ask yourselves some questions as you are penciling in your schedule for your lessons. Which lessons or subjects are going to require me really giving focused one-on-one attention to my older child? Which lessons or activities do I really need quiet for? Which lessons or activities can we do on the floor while a baby or toddler plays nearby? Are there any homeschool lessons or activities that you can do while you're nursing your baby or toddler, while you're rocking your baby or toddler, or while you're wearing your baby or toddler in a carrier? The answers to these questions are going to be unique to you, but I'll give you some examples. So for me personally, I can't read aloud to my kids while I am rocking, bouncing, or wearing a baby or toddler. This is going to lead to me being sweaty, out of breath, exhausted, and super frustrated. However, I can read aloud to my older kids while my youngest is nursing, about to fall asleep, or better yet, napping. Another example. I know that teaching a fourth grade math lesson, especially if we are learning a brand new concept, is really going to require a lot of my one-on-one attention with my oldest daughter. So it would be ideal to do that one-on-one math lesson with my oldest when my youngest is more occupied. On the other hand, I can totally multitask teaching an all about reading lesson with my first grader while having my toddler next to us on the floor playing with toys. I know that multitasking is not good for our brains, but we're moms. It's just a part of this life. I personally just try to multitask activities that are going to make my brain hurt the least. One of the most important ways that I prepare is by preparing my lessons in advance. I really like checklists, so I always make a checklist for each week for each of our main subject areas. And once I have sort of our goals that we want to cover in each subject area, I can easily go and pencil those in across our week. And then once we actually do those things, I will go back and write them in pen. This style of planning, which is sort of a balance of planning ahead and planning from behind, has served me really well with a baby and a toddler specifically, because it makes it easy to adjust and adapt on the fly without losing sight of our overall goals for the week. Another really critical way that I prepare is I try to have all of my worksheets or coloring pages or activity pages that I'm going to need for the week sitting on my desk on my planner. Having things printed and ready to go means that I can seize the moment and seize the opportunity for when is the best time to sit down and get some of these things done. Maybe it's when my toddler is playing independently, or if I have a young baby, maybe it's when baby is sleeping. But if I don't have things printed and ready to go, and I'm still kind of scrambling on my computer trying to prep things in the moment that my baby or toddler is actually giving us some time to work on things, I'm going to miss that opportunity. Sometimes being prepared just means having the right items in the right space. Our family read aloud on the dining room table when I know I'm more likely to read it while my kids are eating or doing a craft. Having our heart time or morning time poetry books and faith-based studies in the dining room on the shelf, easily accessible. These are very small, simple, easy ways to prepare, but they really do set us up for success. Any lessons for us that are going to involve a video or coloring or drawing, I know that my toddler can just be right there with my other kids doing what they're doing. She'll be happy as a clam and not interrupting us. Now, of course, it probably goes without saying that you're going to want to save the lessons or activities that you need the most quiet for when your toddler or baby is taking their nap. And that's really all we wish for as homeschool moms, just long naps so that we can get all of the math and read aloud and whatever else done. Some days that plan's going to work, and other days, if your child is like mine, they're just going to skip their nap and act as if they've never taken one before in their life. So another great time of day to consider is meal times or snack times. Can you occupy your toddler with a snack? I know for my toddler, the only time she ever seems to sit still is when she's eating. So I definitely try to take advantage of meal times and snack times. That's a great time for me to read aloud to my kids. The more prepared you are, the easier it's going to be to take advantage of all of those different kinds of moments throughout your day. It's probably not realistic to think that you're going to be able to get through all of your homeschool lessons in one block of your day when you have a baby or a toddler. There are exceptions to this. If you're homeschooling, a kindergartner or a first grader, their workload might be light enough where you can actually finish all of your homeschool lessons in an hour of your day. And maybe you're even fortunate enough to get it all done while your baby or toddler is napping. If that is your life, that's amazing. But for those of us who have older kids with a little bit more intense of a school workload, we're going to have to find ways to break things up throughout the day and use bursts and snippets of time as efficiently as possible so that we can actually touch on everything or most everything that we would like to. Okay, the second step or tip category is make space for your baby or toddler. Not all of us have homeschool rooms. You definitely do not need a designated space in your home for homeschooling. In the space where you're going to be doing the majority of your homeschool work with your older kids, whether that's your living room, your dining room, try to have some activities or toys ready and on hand for your little ones. This is going to look a little bit different depending on the age of your baby or toddler. So when my youngest was a baby, like under 5 months old, I actually had a baby swing right over here where we have our little play mat, rest mat for her now. We had one of those big, bulky swings. Maybe you have a swing, maybe you have a bouncer, maybe you have one of those activity play mats, or maybe you just have a nice soft blanket. But having a safe, comfortable place to put your baby, both for their waking moments and their sleeping moments, nearby where you're going to be working with your older kids, to me is essential. As they get older and more mobile, making space for your toddler might look like having board books, toddler toys, toddler puzzles, wooden blocks, sensory play, magnets on a cookie sheet or a magnetic whiteboard. Obviously, make sure to avoid anything that's going to be small enough for your child to choke on or swallow, but you get the idea. Once they're crawling or walking, try to have things at their level within their reach that they can access themselves freely and safely. And I think this is true for most kids, but I find that it's especially true for little ones, toddlers. Less is generally more. So don't feel like you need to go run out and buy tons of toys and tons of board books. Having just a few options that they can easily reach themselves is going to keep them busy and distracted. It'll also make cleaning up a lot easier and faster. You might even consider doing a rotation of toys and activities so that you can keep things fresh. Now, as your toddler gets a little bit older, they're going to want to be involved. They want to be just like their older siblings. So get them some school supplies of their very own. I don't mean go buy curricula for your 1-year-old. I mean, let them have their own little pouch with, the older crayons that the big kids don't want anymore. This is a great way to declutter and get more use out of some of those school supplies. Let them play with stickers and paper scraps and tissue rolls and some of these loose craft supplies that you might already have on hand. Or give them some paper or notebooks that they can doodle in while they are sitting at the table with their older siblings. You can keep these supplies as simple and basic as you want. I personally don't like investing in anything too precious because I know it's probably going to get destroyed, but there are lots of really beautiful products on the market if you want to make it a little bit more educational or aesthetically pleasing. There are lots of really adorable activity books, busy books. They might have Velcro parts or felt parts, or maybe just a more educational coloring book. Anything like that is probably going to be a crowd pleaser with a toddler who wants to feel just like a big kid. One of her favorite activities right now at 19 months is I will buy the cheapest sheets of stickers at the Dollar Tree, give her a whole sheet of stickers and an empty notebook, and she just loves to peel the stickers off and put them on the notebook. Play-Doh is also a favorite in our house. I also love those like magic paint books. I know that Crayola has some and Usborne has some, but basically they paint with just water, so it's mess free. My toddler also just loves snuggling up with a good board book. I think she sees her older sisters read books quietly by themselves so often that in her eyes, it's just like this really cool big kid thing to do. If Play-Doh in the carpet is just not optional in your home, or if any of the things I mentioned just don't sound practical for your space, that's okay. There are plenty of options to choose from. And if you need inspiration for toddler activities, preschooler activities, even baby activities for an older baby who's sitting up or crawling, you can look on Pinterest, you can look on TikTok, you can probably look even here on YouTube. There are tons of content creators who specialize in easy, simple, mess-free activities for little ones, and they have lots of great ideas to share. Another thing to consider when you are making space for your little ones nearby where you're going to be doing the most of your homeschooling work, if your little ones are still in diapers, have the supplies for diaper changes nearby. I feel like it saves so much time to just skip the changing station altogether, skip trips to your bedroom or your nursery to change a baby or toddler's diaper. Just have what you need right where you are. And a great easy way to do that is a diaper caddy. They're very affordable. You can get one for like 20 bucks or less on Amazon. I will link the one that I have down below. And I just make sure that I keep that stocked with all of our essentials. Wipes, diapers, little booger picker tool, the snot sucker, diaper rash cream, maybe a change of clothes. And that way, if we're in the living room and I need to wipe the baby down or change her really quick, I have everything I need right there. My personal priorities when I'm making space for my littlest one in our homeschool space is to give her options to occupy herself so she can feel empowered and independent, keep mess at a minimum. And what I mean by that is messes that I can clean up relatively quickly, but I am not prioritizing avoiding mess, period, because it's just not realistic for me. I am embracing the mess as long as I can clean it up fairly quickly. And my main priority is limiting how many times I have to get up and transition from one space to another. That is how I have made space for my littlest one. And those are things that have really worked well for us in accommodating her, keeping her close by, and keeping interruptions to a minimum. The third step or tip that I've personally found helpful is sibling time, sibling bonding. Now, this one gets a little bit tricky because we don't want to rely on our children for childcare. It's not their responsibility to take care of or to babysit their younger siblings, unless, of course, you are planning on reimbursing them just as you would an adult or a teenager who does not live with you, who's taking on that responsibility. However, within reason, we can encourage our older children to bond with their baby or toddler sibling for just a few minutes if it buys us some lesson time with another child. My little one is almost always interested in playing with or doing whatever her big sisters are doing. So this is guaranteed to buy me some quiet, focused time with one of my bigger girls. And it also allows the opportunity for each of my girls to bond with their youngest sibling, to get some one-on-one play time or cuddle time. My girls really love their baby sister. They absolutely adore her. They think she's the cutest thing ever, and they are usually eager to spend some one-on-one time with her, to do an activity with her or play with her or read to her. If they give me any resistance, I definitely will drop it. If they're like, Mom, I'm actually working on something right now, or I'd rather play by myself or read by myself right now, I definitely try to respect that. But it is nice to just remember that it's okay to encourage and foster those relationships. When our older child is agreeable and the toddler is agreeable, why not set them up doing something together so that you can have a little bit more focused time with another child? The fourth step or trick or tip, I don't really know what we're calling them anymore, independent work and outsourcing when possible. Now, obviously, this is going to depend on the age of your homeschool students, on the skill level and grade level of your kiddos. Some kids genuinely can't do any independent work right now as of yet. And so you can just make that a goal to try to work up to that point. But if your kids are a little bit older, look for opportunities where you can touch on an essential homeschool subject or lesson in a way where you are not necessary. And then plan on using that independent work or those outsourcing ideas for the times when your littlest one really needs you the most. So maybe for breastfeeding sessions, for putting them down for a nap, or even just giving them some one-on-one attention and cuddles, reading with them, playing with them. Our littlest ones need some one-on-one time with us just as much as our older kids. So this can be a great opportunity for that. Some of my favorite tools for independent work or outsourcing are online educational games or apps, audiobooks for my older kids to listen to or for all of us to listen to while I'm engaged with my baby or toddler. Video components as part of a variety of our subjects. We use videos in our history lessons, in our science lessons. I use YouTube read aloud videos for picture books. If your kids have a longer attention span, maybe they can even have an afternoon where they're watching a longer documentary on a scientific or historical subject that you're learning about in your homeschool. And that can be a great time for you to rest and recharge with your baby or your toddler. Another one that we use all the time, it might not be the best fit for every kid, but for my kids, it works really well. That is workbooks. I personally don't use workbooks for things that I feel like my kids need that explicit instruction in, but for things like handwriting, spelling, or even just educational activity books, those kinds of things are great for my older kids to do to keep them occupied, to keep their skills sharpened. If you have a homeschool mama friend close by, or maybe even more than one homeschool mama friend close by, why not consider swapping some babysitting / teaching time with them? So say, hey, can we come over to your house or you come over to our house? And one of us will watch the littlest ones and rock the babies and hold the napping toddler while the other one does some instruction time with our bigger, older kids. I've never done that myself, but I've seen other moms do it and say how great it is. Okay, number 5, the last step or tip for homeschooling with a toddler specifically. This will not work for a baby. When all else fails, screen time. I know this is controversial. I'm well aware that it is not recommended for kids younger than 2 to have screen time, like any screen time whatsoever. Well, please don't come for me in the comment section when I say that sometimes I use some screen time for my 19-month-old. And you know what? I am not going to feel ashamed of that. This is my last tip for a reason because I personally use it as a last resort, but it's there as a last resort. And I think that's okay. I try to select low intensity shows for my little one when I'm offering her screen time. That does make me feel a little bit better and a little less guilty about the whole thing. You can definitely do research on your own and look for low intensity options that are a little bit better according to the research for toddlers and preschoolers. My personal favorites are Miss Rachel here on YouTube. I also love Miss Liz, which is like Miss Rachel, but in Espanol. Circle Time TV here on YouTube is also great. I love Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood on PBS Kids, and I love Bluey on Disney Plus. Those are kind of our go-tos that we will put on. My toddler, like I said earlier, doesn't sit still hardly at all. So screen time honestly doesn't buy me that much time with her occupied, but it will buy me a few minutes. And on some days, that's all I need, which is why that's my last resort. All right, if you've made it this far, let's just do a little recap. In homeschooling with a baby or toddler in tow, you might find it helpful to prepare, and then prepare some more. Overly prepare. Jot down what your expectations are as far as your workload and lesson plan. Try to decide what time of day is going to be best for each of those activities or lessons, depending on the needs and schedule of your baby or toddler. Second, make space for your baby or toddler. Prepare activities, resources, toys, and supplies that you know you will need and have them nearby, accessible, at the ready, where you're going to be homeschooling. Third, take advantage of sibling bonding. Try to encourage activities and play that will foster those relationships. Fourth, if possible, look for ways you can incorporate independent work or outsource homeschool work. And five, when all else fails, low intensity screen time is not the enemy. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments if there are any tips or tricks that you have found tried and true when it comes to homeschooling with babies and toddlers around. Please share them for all of us down below. I really hope you found this video to be helpful. Thank you so much for spending some of your valuable time as a homeschool parent with me. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.